If you're interested in making money online, then it's probably because you like the idea of having more freedom to live and work wherever and however you want. The benefits of working online are many and varied and extend into every aspect of your life. But in order for you to make the very most from this way of working, you also need to make sure you choose the perfect business model. Working online on its own does not necessarily equate to an ideal lifestyle. Rather, the benefits come when you work online the right way. And let me tell you, creating a membership site is definitely the right way. Why should you create a membership site? This is where membership sites come in and offer an incredibly appealing alternative. Essentially, a membership site is a site that users pay to subscribe to. This normally works by first enticing the reader with some free content and then showing them the kind of entertainment, information, and value that you're capable of providing. Once they're hooked, you then make sure they know that they need to subscribe in order to gain access to your very best content and to get frequently updated. So what's so different about this? Well, for starters, it means that you can much more easily convert visitors to paying customers, seeing as they're not having to put down a large amount of money and seeing as they know what they're getting right away. More importantly, though, it means that the money is recurring and much more predictable. Unlike a regular blog that can very much fluctuate, having subscribers means you probably have some kind of agreement or standing order set up. This means that you can practically guarantee that you'll be able to earn a set amount of money each week, month, or quarter. And that very quickly starts to add up. Let's see the power of a membership site. So, say you currently have people subscribing for $5 a month. If your content is good, then you could realistically convince 1 in every 10,000 visitors to sign up. But it's very possible that the very first person who visits might sign up. There's an element of luck, but as soon as you get that first subscription, you're in business. And $5 a month quickly adds up to $60 a year. So how can you get started with a membership site? I've prepared a guide on this exact subject so you can finally get started. Allow me to introduce you to Membership Empire, how to start your very own recurring membership site and get paid month after month. I'm delighted to have the chance to share this powerful guide with you, and I know you'll be very happy with the results. So now that you have a good idea of what a membership site is, let's look a little deeper into the nitty-gritty of how all this works. No doubt you're probably already familiar with the idea of a blog. Chances are that you have several blogs that you already read regularly and enjoy. Maybe you like reading IGN to get news about games, films, and comics. Perhaps you prefer the more highbrow content over at Forbes. Perhaps you love learning about passive income at Smart Passive Income, or maybe you have an Android phone and like to stay up to date with news and apps from Android Authority. Tim Ferriss has an excellent blog about lifestyle design, which is very much relevant to this topic, and The Art of Manliness and Brain Pickings are great if you want some thoughtful posts that go really in-depth. For fitness, be sure to check out Breaking Muscle or bodybuilding.com. Whatever your chosen blog is, chances are that you love getting news from it or reading the latest feature or entertainment piece. You probably read it with your morning coffee. But now imagine that this site stopped being free and you suddenly had to pay in order to access it. That would be a pain, but if you really loved the site or if you relied on it, then you would probably be willing to part with some cash. This is precisely how a subscription site works. It gets you hooked and then charges you in order to gain fuller access. In some cases, that means that you can't read anything until you have a membership. In other cases, it means that you can read some stories, but you need to pay in order to gain unbridled access to the most exclusive content. Either way, the objective is that you have something very desirable behind a paywall. Before you create your site though, let's rewind a moment and consider what your options are and what types of membership sites are out there for you to try and emulate. You might be surprised to find that there are multiple types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. The first option is to create a blog or maybe a news site and make this into a membership site. The general idea here is that you're creating lots of fresh content that people will very much want to read. You're then charging people for the privilege of gaining access to all your new content as you create it, and in that way it will work a little like a magazine subscription or a newspaper subscription. You can even turn this into an e-zine, which means you'll update all the content at once about once a month, often in an attractive format, saved as a PDF and with lots of attractive images and additional media. Sometimes these kind of membership sites are referred to as content mills, as you're constantly churning out more and more content. However, there are ways that you can make this more manageable, for example by hiring someone to create the content for you. This is basically a site that is filled with tons of content and perhaps other types of media. You might have ebooks, blog posts, podcasts, videos, and more, and all of this will together offer value to the reader. The great thing about this is that once you've reached a certain level, you won't actually have to update the content anymore at all. That is to say that there's enough benefit to just being a member, and there's enough content to sift through that you won't have to keep creating more. This can essentially be considered the end goal for many membership sites, though in some cases you can come straight out of the gate with this type of offer, especially if you have lots of old content from previous businesses. This is the truest type of passive income that there is. That's because you're not going to have to do any work in order to keep getting new customers and to keep getting recurring revenue from those who have already signed up. Sure, there may be a little maintenance, and yes, you may want to advertise and promote your package more, but for the most part, this can provide its own momentum and grow in revenue while you do very little. While this isn't traditionally considered a membership site, it is essentially the exact same thing. This basically means that you'll be offering some kind of service via a web app, and sometimes this can straddle the line between content and service. For example, let's say that you created a website that provided lots of markets in a particular niche. Maybe this is a website that, for example, found websites that were looking for writers. If your blog collated these, then this would be a great service to provide for writers, and that way you could charge people to use your site. This could easily straddle the line between a service and content. Slightly closer to the service side of things might be a site that helped people to learn to meditate through guided meditation, like the Headspace app, or maybe some kind of set of online calculators. Another option is to create a set of courses and learning materials that people can subscribe to. This is an excellent option as you are providing a very clear and obvious value proposition, and you have a very obvious target audience to market your site to. At the same time, people are used to paying for education, and in theory, this should offer real value in return by helping them to get a certain job or acquire a certain skill. In order to create this kind of membership site, you will need to fill it with raw materials like videos, textbooks, and courses, but this can then be fairly evergreen. It's also possible to create this kind of content using a mailing list via an autoresponder. One of the best things you can do to create a membership site that thrives is to build a community. In other words, have a central topic that people can discuss and then provide a members-only area for people who have paid. This is a brilliant strategy for numerous reasons. For online communities, the social element is very compelling. People love feeling like a part of something, and they love having privileged access. If you speak about this in the right way, you can make it very desirable. Also, communities create their own content. This means that once you have built it up to be big enough, the rest will take care of itself. The site will climb the search engines because it will keep getting new content added, and people will even promote and share the site for you. You do have to moderate, but again, this means making money while doing very little. Of course, in many cases, your membership site is not going to fall into just one of these categories. In all likelihood, a community site is still going to have a blog, even if only to bring in new visitors and to clearly define what your site is about. Likewise, if you have an evergreen site, then you can make the prospect of signing up a little sweeter by also introducing some additional free materials that make it closer to a service. That might mean that you have calculators or just the odd video. What's more is that most types of membership site will at least start out as content mills. This is the easiest way to get people interested and to start building up your audience. Note that there are also several alternative methods to creating membership content, which we touched on briefly in the introduction. Some of the top examples include a YouTube channel. YouTube now has the option to create members-only content. This means that you can create a large list of free subscribers and then charge a little extra for your very best premium stuff. This works particularly well as videos give you the chance to create a real sense of rapport with your audience, and YouTube can handle the route to market and even the payment processing for you. Apps. Another great example is to create a mobile app that charges a subscription fee. This is something that's actually becoming increasingly popular, and it's a great way to get around some of the challenges that face mobile app developers when trying to monetize their products through other means. A mailing list. As briefly mentioned, a mailing list can also be a subscription service. This works particularly well if you are creating some kind of course that lends itself well to being split into lessons. Physical products. Essentially, a membership site is simply the natural evolution of a magazine. It stands to reason then that you might combine the two by having a magazine with a website component. Likewise, you can also create a subscription service that provides some kind of physical product from a website. This might mean a curated selection of items that will appeal to a particular type of person, or it might mean supplies or consumables such as clothing, food, or shaving products. This is branching out from digital-only models that most people lean to, but actually it's surprisingly not that much of a stretch to offer some kind of goodie bag or physical incentive to make your subscription service more appealing. You can do this by dropshipping or simply buying items in bulk very cheaply. This can also be achieved through some kind of partnership, in which case you'll be promoting the product to a wider audience in exchange for getting some inventory to give away for free. One last thing. A prize drawer. Simply enter all your members into a prize drawer and sell the opportunity to win money or some other kind of appealing prize. And remember, you don't have to pick just one of these options. Think about the resources available to you and what you're good at, and then include as many incentives as you can while having a clear value proposition and clear target audience. It's one thing to talk about how a membership site works, but quite another to actually see one in action. Let's take a look now at some of the most popular examples of membership sites so that you can see how they work and hopefully replicate some of their success. The Times is a UK newspaper that also has a website. In order to read the headlines, you need to subscribe, but you can read the first 2 paragraphs of each piece without subscribing. This works well because the brand is very well known and because the small snippet is often enough to get people wanting to read more. For someone who uses this paper as their main source of news, subscribing and being able to get it on their tablets and other devices is a very appealing option. This is particularly true seeing as the first 12 weeks cost just £12 or $18. For just £1 per week, the price is low enough that it's going to seem negligible, and that reduces what is called buyer's guilt over spending the money. This is an example of a community that only lets members post in certain places and to become a virtual shareholder in the website and determine future initiatives. Truth be told, you can get a lot of what this site offers for free. So why do people sign up? There are a number of reasons, but what makes this work is that it seems like an exciting underground movement for anyone who is interested in this kind of stuff. Longecity is a website that's all about life extension, living longer, and new tropics. It looks at cutting-edge science and applies it in a unique way. This makes it essentially a counterculture and an underground movement, and it's something that people want to feel part of. There's a similar appeal to being a member of a secret hacking group or of a society of poets. Members get to feel at once like they are at the cutting edge and that they are somewhat superior to people who aren't part of their community. This essentially has the same appeal as being a Freemason, or of being a part of a secret club when you're a kid. Hashtag Nomads is a similar offering to Longecity, except with even more to offer. A digital nomad is someone who works on the road and uses their laptop to travel the world while living online. This is exactly what you will be able to do once you have your membership site set up if you are so inclined. This is who Hashtag Nomads is aimed at. This then has the advantage of being a great community site, and like Longecity, people will get a kick out of feeling like they're part of something exclusive and exciting. It's also a place for people with similar lifestyles to discuss their daily challenges and meet like-minded individuals. What's more though is that Hashtag Nomads is also a place where people can find work. Job listings are posted here, and people also network to find love and career opportunities. This means that this one portal can offer a ton of value to a specific kind of person in order to earn its price of entry. A great example of a membership site where people can learn a specific skill. Of course, this one is all about yoga and provides a large amount of content for the money. This is a very polished and well put together site that manages to appear more like a premium product than payment for a website. It also offers a 30-day free trial, which we'll discuss in more detail later on. This is a website that is as much a service as it is content. Sign up to Lumosity and you'll gain access to a number of online tests and games, each of which is aimed at increasing brain power, memory, attention, and creativity. Members gain access to the full selection of games and tests, as well as being able to log their performance and see their progress over time. Depending on the plugin you use, there are various options for accepting payment. However, one of the most popular methods is to get paid via PayPal, so a useful thing to do is to sign up for PayPal. This works well because it's a tool that most of your visitors will be familiar with. It's secure and handles all of the payment processing for you. Now, visitors can choose to subscribe to your site without even having to enter any details. Everything is handled through PayPal. This lets you do something very important, which is to overcome one of the key barriers to sale. A barrier to sale is anything that prevents people from clicking buy even though they actually want the product. In this case, it's the worry that the payment might be unsecure and that they'll have to input all their details again. If you use PayPal, it's much easier to convince them to make an impulsive purchase. An autoresponder is a tool that allows you to build a mailing list and then manage that mailing list automatically. It also allows you to send messages out to everyone on said list and to stagger those messages. This means that you can create an email course and then message each member each installment of the course with just the right amount of time between each lesson. There are a lot of different autoresponders to choose from, but some of the best known are MailChimp, Aweber, and GetResponse. As mentioned before, Volusion can also be used as a mailing list. Before you do all this though, you first need to create the content that you're going to charge for, or at least you need to know how you're going to go about building it. How you do this will depend on the type of service you are offering to your subscribers. For example, if you're creating an evergreen site or a course, you might want to book some time off and simply spend a couple of weeks creating all the content that you're going to provide to your members. If you do all of this in one go, then you will have to have your product ready to sell. This might also mean learning to use video editing software and investing in some good filming equipment if there will be a video element to your creations. Likewise, if your site is going to include calculators, questionnaires, or quizzes, then you may want to look into getting a piece of software that will allow you to do this, or perhaps even just learning the necessary coding skills. A plugin that will allow you to build questionnaires and calculators is Calculated Fields Form, which is a free plugin available through WordPress. There are also countless other plugins available for creating forums and community sites.